But it's difficult. A lot of these things are difficult, but if you make a commitment, you can take back control of your health. But it has to be a commitment.
Because this is what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be in shape. Everyone. Not everyone wants to exercise consistently. The people who exercise consistently are the ones in shape.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, weekly live Next Level University podcast for week number 70, how to take back control of your health.
Oh, yeah.
So as Alan mentioned in the pre-frame here, COVID has definitely made being healthy, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually pretty difficult. So today we're going to give you some tips and tricks on how to increase that.
All right, so the very first thing we have here is...
Getting right into it.
We're going to dive right in.
We're just diving right into it.
Let's do it.
We're not messing around.
No. This is the real deal right here.
Okay, realdeal.com.
I do miss the music. Don't you?
Josie's on a vacation far away. Okay, that's it.
All right, now time for value. All right, so the first one is sleep. I think sleep is one of the most it's not valued enough. And for me personally, I always try to get 8 hours of sleep. But Kevin and I, as you know, were on a trip to Colorado 2 weeks ago. And I slept on the plane there and back. I slept on the bus there and back to the airport. I slept a bunch. And I also slept at the airport both times. But Kevin didn't. He has trouble sleeping in buses, airplanes, and the airport.
Anything
understandable.
Moving, really.
Yeah, understandable. And so when we got back, we took a red eye. We left at midnight from Colorado, got to Logan, probably around 5 a.m. or so, plus the time difference. And Kevin had been up literally for 32 hours straight. And for the entire, I think it was it was a Saturday morning when you got home. Yeah. And it was like, literally, Alan, don't expect to hear from me. I need to just R&R for the next, 24 hours or whatever it was. And I think the point that I want to make here is that for me personally, when I don't get quality sleep, I notice it. My productivity takes a hit. My mind takes a hit. My emotions take a hit. I start getting scared of things. And like Kevin was cooked and not able to function, and him saying proactively, like, listen, don't talk to me for the next 24 hours. Nothing against you, but like I'm going to be completely useless. And so that's kind of my point here is when you don't get quality sleep, you're going to end up not being as productive, and it's going to take a self-esteem hit, and the lack of productivity is going to affect you. And remember, I know a lot of people that actually pride themselves on getting less sleep, and over the long term, they've actually correlated that with Alzheimer's. I often talk about this. So if I were to jump up and down right now, my body has a lymphatic system that will flush out the junk from my cells. But your brain cells also have junk, and there is no lymphatic system for the brain. When you're in REM sleep, rapid eye movement, the cerebral fluid actually flushes that stuff. So if you're not getting a lot of REM sleep, you are foggy for a reason. And eventually the plaque can build up, and they're actually correlating low sleep compounded over time with Alzheimer's. So just keep that in mind. Again, there's a lot of research. You can Google it, but getting good, quality, consistent REM sleep is going to make you more healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I think it's something that's not sexy, and it's super overlooked.
I think it's dangerous, too, because a lot of what you hear in the industry is sleep less. I was listening to a Steve Harvey motivational video the other day, and he basically said, I'm going to tell you a secret about entrepreneurs that nobody tells you. They don't sleep. And it's like, maybe that sounds good on a motivational speech, but I know Gary Vee has gone back and said this. He's like, people are convinced that I don't sleep. Like, I sleep 7-8 hours a night. Like, I think it's very important. So understand that saying I don't sleep sometimes seems sexy, but for the long term, it's just not good. Real quick, when I used to work the old job I used to work, we used to travel a lot, and I would literally run on 4 hours of sleep routinely. Like, sleeping in hotels is not good. You don't really sleep well. I think it's proven that you ever heard the saying, you sleep with one eye open? When you sleep in like a place that you're not comfortable, you actually only get like half the amount of sleep.
Yeah, your subconscious has too much uncertainty.
So I dealt for a long time with lack of sleep, for probably 4 years straight, lack of sleep. And then when we started this journey and actually started sleeping normal hours, I noticed the genuine difference that I never would have noticed if I didn't start doing it. So I just wanted to add that. So I don't know if you are like me. I am definitely guilty of this. I will sit down and I'll put on a movie. I love to put on Batman. Which one is the one? Dark Knight with Heath Ledger?
Yeah.
Dark Knight?
Second one, Dark Knight.
I'll put that on, And this is a bad habit of mine. I'll be 5 minutes into the movie and I pick my phone up. And then I get on Instagram and I get on Facebook and I get on whatever it is. I love watching movies, right? Watching movies to me is R&R. But going through Facebook, going through social media, going through emails, going through client stuff, that isn't R&R. So the point I'm making here is figure out what fills your cup and what doesn't, and then stick to it. So I had a client one time who said, I really love baths. They fill my cup. It's great R&R for me. I said, that's awesome. Let's put that on your system of success. Every night when you get done work, I want you to take a bath. If you want to listen to a book in there, you can do that as long as it fills your cup. You want to light candles, you want to eat pizza, like whatever you want to do in the bath, that would be a baller move.
Oh, yeah.
Pizza in the bath. Whatever you want to do that to fill your cup. A lot of people are not sure what actually fills their cup. We did a full entire speech on that. How to keep your cup filled.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, I never really thought of that before. So after this, sit down and write out what fills your cup. And what does that mean? When you're doing something, where do you feel the most relaxed? Like you feel awesome. Afterwards, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. I feel refreshed. I feel ready to get after it. Maybe for you, it's a long night of sleep. But I know that I like watching movies. I know Alan loves watching movies. I've had clients who like to do the bath thing. It could be being out in nature. It could be reading. It could be a lot of different things. But the most important part of that is getting clear on what it is for you and then making it a practice, consistently doing it, and then making sure you're not falling victim to picking up your phone when you're trying to do it, because that'll take you right off track.
Here's a good analogy. So I have iPhone chargers on me at all times because Kevin and I both have iPhones and we're often using them. And I used one of my chargers instead of his. His is right here. And he's like, hey, man, that's a crappy iPhone charger, because he tried to charge his phone and it was charging very slow. They call it Lightning, but I got one of those cheap ones on Amazon for like $7 and it's a crappy charger. The analogy here is imagine if you're scrolling on Instagram and Facebook as your recharge. It's not going to be effective. You're not going to actually feel recharged after that. It was last night. Emilia and I were meal prepping, and we were spending quality time with Tucker, and we were together, and I made the mistake. Again, if you're an entrepreneur, you'll understand this. I made the mistake of opening my phone. I checked my email, I checked my WhatsApp, and I checked my text messages. And there was a lot of things that were open loops that now all of a sudden my brain had to work on. So just understand, and I talk about this often, sleep 8 hours on average. That leaves you 16 hours left. 80-20. 80% productivity and success and focus, 20% recharge. 20% of a 16-hour day is 3.2 hours?
3.2 hours.
3.2 hours. So that means 3 hours of solid recharge time. That can be power naps. That can be bubble baths. That can be walks with your pet. That can be a movie. I love inspiring movies, like Kevin was mentioning. On Saturday night, that's what I did. I watched a full 2.5 hour long movie.
What inspiring movie was it?
It was super bad. It's really funny. So I guess it wasn't too inspiring, but it was hilarious.
But that's cup filling too. Like I love watching things that make me laugh because I love laughing clearly.
Exactly. Sometimes I'll actually do comedy as well, because when you need to, laughter is really enjoyable. Okay, but that's my point is like, if you are scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, again, nothing against that. There's a time and a place for that. But it's most likely not refilling your cup. I've never met anyone who considers that cup filling, genuinely. I think it's just a lot of triggers and a lot of FOMO and a lot of, it's like watching the news. It's not exactly cup filling. It's the same idea. All right, so the next thing we have here is hydration. I remember I had a client, so I did some fitness coaching a while back. Before I was a business coach, I focused primarily on fitness when I was doing fitness modeling, fitness competitions, and fitness coaching. And I had a client, and I'll keep this anonymous, of course, to protect her privacy. But I remember her saying we were going through the pillars, which I'm going to teach you today: sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility. That was my framework of how to actually get fit, be as healthy as possible, holistic fitness. And we were on hydration. And she's like, oh, don't worry about hydration. I drink a ton of water. Okay. And I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate that, but like, I'm a numbers guy. Like, what's the number? Because I believe that 0.6 times your body weight in pounds is the number of ounces of water you should be drinking per day on average, in order to be as fit as possible. And again, the pre-frame on this is you have muscle cells, you have brain cells, you have bone cells, you have fat cells, every cell, and you have organ cells. Every cell in the human body, for the most part, requires H2O, the molecule H2O, for all of its chemical reactions. And so something like 60% of our bodies are water. So obviously that's a really important thing to replenish. So she said, oh, don't worry about water. I hydrate a ton. I asked her how many ounces. She said 32. From her perspective, 32 ounces of water per day was a lot. And this person, and again, I'll keep it anonymous, was fairly obese, I'm just going to be honest, and needs way more water than that. And so that idea that 32 ounces is enough for someone who was very, very heavy was the problem. See, the problem was she told herself a story that she was drinking enough water when she really wasn't. And after that, we got her drinking way more water. We worked up from 32 to, I think it was 52, and then from 52 to 84 or something like that. But basically, we worked her way up, and she started losing weight, of course. Hydration is so, so critical.
And so many people are just always dehydrated. They just don't know it. I know that I used to work in like really hot attics, and people, my water's over there. If I try to reach for it, I'll knock this whole thing over. Mm-hmm. But I just noticed that most people never had enough water. Right. Just like all the time. When I was a personal trainer, same thing. I think the thing that makes it difficult is you wake up in the morning and you want a coffee. If you're anything like me, you enjoy coffee. So you go to either Starbucks or whatever it is, Dunkin' Donuts, and you get this coffee that's mostly sugar, because that's, those are the ones
Caramel
that taste.
swirl ice.
Those are the ones that taste good. And it takes, it's 32 ounces. It takes you half a day to drink that thing, and then you're already half a day done with no water. Right. So I think that's one thing that you and I really have going for us. Yeah. Taryn and I were talking about being sick yesterday, and I was like, honestly, one of the reasons I don't get sick, I think, is because I'm healthier than many people because I actually drink water. Yeah. And most people are just dehydrated all the time.
And I will attest to that too. Kevin and I obviously spend every week together, multiple times a week, and he has his water on him at all times.
On my person.
I mean, at all times. And I want to give this cheat code quickly because, again, I had dozens of fitness clients, and I never found an exception to this rule. If you don't have your specific water bottle, this one's a little small, I'm actually getting a bigger one, but if you don't have your water bottle, like some people think like, oh, I'll just drink Poland Springs or I'll go to the water cooler, but if you don't have a specific water bottle within arm's length, anytime anyone ever had problems with consistently hydrating, it was always, while we were on a call, okay, where's your water? And they're like, oh, it's in the other room. See, that's your problem. You will not catch me without this thing or one like it. Genuinely, and I think that's just absolutely critical. And if you want to get in better shape, because I think that's a part of health, of course, the hydration thing is very important. It's good for your hormones. There's nothing bad about drinking water. Drinking water consistently is absolutely critical.
And just a real quick thing, if you like ice cold water, get one of these. I think it stays cold for like 48 hours. If you like hot water, you can warm up water in this, throw a tea bag in it, and there you go. You got water. I think this is 40 ounces. It's a big boy, 40 ounces.
And if you don't like the taste of water, get one of those Mio squirt things, or there's a bunch of stuff you can do. But if water gets boring, just spice it up.
Boom. Spice it up. I like that. That should be a commercial. So Alan is talking a lot about physical health. I want to talk here about spiritual health, a little bit about mental health, a little bit about emotional health. So Alan and I have sat in these very seats many times and listened to, we had the pleasure of having Samantha Skelly on the podcast, as well as a mastermind back in the day. And on the mastermind, she went through this live breathwork thing. And I think there was probably, 18 people in the room. And I think like 16 out of the 18 people were crying, including Alan and myself. So that's something that Alan and I have gone back to. And we actually said earlier we should really start doing that again, because I think it really helped us. What that does is it helps you break free of the junk that you're dealing with that you haven't let go of yet. So you'll see an animal that gets scared. So say a cheetah is chasing after, what do they chase after? Gazelles. Mm-hmm. The gazelle gets away, and the first thing it does is shake. It's shaking free of those things that it just went through. Humans don't do that. So one of the things that breathwork does is it releases you from those things. So Alan and I are sitting in here literally bawling our eyes out, having these past memories pop up, or these things that we dealt with that we never knew, connecting new dots. And I can say with certainty that helped us, not just as us and getting to the next level, but it helped us connect things that we never knew needed to be connected. And it helped us learn about ourselves. It helped us break free of stuff that we didn't know we were dealing with. So I want to make sure that I'm not just talking physical. Maybe we can link that when we release this episode live. But just go on YouTube, search Samantha Skelly breathwork hyperconscious. That episode will come up. Go to the end. I think it's like 50 minutes in.
Yeah.
And it's just
the last 10 minutes.
It's just a great thing to do. Just deep breaths, you and your breaths, you and your thoughts, you and your emotions. Beautiful.
The music she chose was absolutely perfect. It's episode 402.
It was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Also, by the way, it's kind of cool here. At the very end of that, if you do this, you'll hear Kevin and I crying in the episode, and you'll hear Kevin actually quote Superbad.
I'm not crying. I just have something in both my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually funny. I just noticed that now.
And I want to. Some people said like, Kev, it's okay to be vulnerable. Like you don't have to make a joke about it. I was like, no. Like I'm definitely crying. I thought it was funny. I was just trying to break the ice a little bit.
It was funny.
I'm always down to cry in front of people.
I didn't know that was from Superbad until this weekend.
Really?
Genuinely.
I'm ashamed of you.
Oh, well, I apologize. All right, so that's because I'm usually watching inspiring movies now, but I wanted to go back. All right, third pillar, nutrition. We all know about this one, right? Macronutrients, micronutrients. Macronutrients are carbs, proteins, and fats. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. And basically the story that I want to tell you about this one, I had a client early on, one of my early fitness clients who was pregnant. And she wanted to make sure that she was within the weight gain range of healthy throughout her fitness journey, throughout her pregnancy, rather. And so I think we met when she was about a half month in or so to pregnancy. And she's like, okay, I only want to gain 25 pounds. I've talked to the doctor. Let's reverse engineer 25 pounds and figure out how many calories I need to eat per day. And we did that. I think she ended up overshooting a little bit. I think she ended up gaining 30 pounds. But she ended up thanking me later saying, not only was it a healthy birth, but I also had no problem getting rid of the quote-unquote baby weight because we kept it under control so much. And I've heard many stories. I'm pretty sure my mother said this when she had me as well. She said that she really overshot, and the doctor was like, whoa, you need to cool it. And so I've never obviously been pregnant. I understand why overshooting that is a thing. But the point I want to make here is that nutrition is what made the difference. When my client was pregnant, she wasn't necessarily able to exercise as well or as often as she was prior to being pregnant for many different reasons. She still exercised, and Kevin and I talk about this often. We actually said it earlier today. You cannot out-train a bad diet. No matter how hard you train, if you're eating improper amounts of energy, aka calories, carbs, proteins, fats, you're going to gain weight. You know, if you're burning 4,000 calories a day and you're eating 6, which is excessive, by the way, you're going to gain weight no matter what. And so the point here is nutrition. You got to understand how many calories you're taking in. I was with someone yesterday, again, I'll keep this anonymous, and we were talking about fitness, and she was like, how many calories should I be eating per day? I said, honestly, I think you should shoot for 1,200. You have more muscle mass than you used to, and I think that would do really well, especially since you're training consistently. Emilia and I do meal prepping, and literally I'll prep our meals. So we meal prepped, and then we had our dishes, and I'm the one who does the portions because she tells me, I said, okay, sweetheart, what have you eaten today? And again, she asked me to do this. I'm not like questioning her. And she's like, I've eaten about 500 calories. I said, okay, that means you need probably another 900, actually 800 because we're doing 1,300 right now. We're in a cut. And she actually was at the lake, and she was super thrilled with her bathing suit body this summer, which was huge because last year after COVID, it was hard for us because we did a huge bulk, then COVID happened, and we weren't able to go to the gym and lose a lot of that. And I know a lot of people struggled with that. I was literally working out in my closet. But the main point here is that calories in versus calories out. You have to be aware, aka hyper-conscious, acutely aware of what you're eating and how many calories are in it. Very last thing I'll say here, I remember I was sitting around a table and I was hammering those Lindt chocolates.
Oh my God, I love them.
Those are great.
Huge
The blue ones.
Any of them, honestly. I don't care.
And I remember I was really fit at the time. I was doing a show, and they were like, I don't understand. You're doing a fitness show. Like, how can you hammer those? Those are like 200 calories a piece. And I said, no, they're not. And they're like, well, how many calories are there? I'm like, probably around 80 or so. Someone at the table looked it up on Google, and they found out it was 78 calories. And the person was like, how did you know that? And I said, I've tracked for long enough now where I understand. So I could literally ask Kevin, I love doing this, how many calories in a banana, standard size banana?
I think it's roughly 120.
Okay, how many calories in 2 tablespoons of peanut butter?
190.
Okay, how many calories in a donut?
It depends on the donut. I believe your classic chocolate frosted with sprinkles from Dunks is 270.
Yeah.
I think the double chocolate's 380.
So again, I just love to do that. And I remember I was giving a fitness speech and I did that with one of my other friends. And I said, I didn't prep him for that. I just know he knows what calories are in what. That's why he's in such great shape. One of the reasons Kevin's in such great shape is because he's been tracking calories since he was 17. Now, he does it intuitively now, but he did it religiously for years in prep and all that different stuff. So now he can intuitively eat because he has a good idea of how many calories he burns in a day and how many calories he eats in a day. So all I'm saying is raise your awareness. Start looking at how many calories you're actually eating. And just try, it's just like your bank account. If you have more money going out than coming in, you're going to be broke. If you have more money coming in than going out, you're going to be good. It's the same with fitness, and the nutrition piece is really critical.
There's this show on Netflix called Explained. You'd actually really like it because they talk about, one explains like how people become billionaires, and it's this really, really informational, cool show. But I watched one the other night on nutrition.
Cool.
Because I was like, I want to see what they're going to talk about here. And just to second what Alan said, any diet you've ever seen, whether it's Atkins or low carb or low fat or keto or blah, 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 whatever it is, the reason it works is because it lowers your calories. That's the only reason it works. I could make the Kevin diet, and if I found a way to cut 500 calories out of your day every day, you'd lose weight. That's the way those diets work. So just to second what Alan said, just become aware of what you're eating and how much it is, and you can start to see a change. Everybody has different genetics, sure, but at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out is the best way to lose weight. I know everybody I've ever done that with, it's worked. So
I just want to say one more piece before we move on here. I have all the data. I used to do now we do peak performance tracking on the team, and we track our habits, and I'm a business coach now, so we do some financial stuff as well. But I used to do fitness tracking with all my clients. And so I have all the data. You can literally see the graph of weight, and you can see the calories. And you can see how correlated the graphs are. And just remember, there's only two ways to lose weight. You either eat less or you burn more, or some combination of the two. And so that's really, really critical. You either eat less or you burn more, or some combination.
So this next one I want to talk about is a little bit outside of the box, but I think now more than ever it's being talked about, and I think it's important to talk about. So imagine if throughout your day, every single person that you touched, that you hugged, that you're very warm, that you touched, that you hugged,
here,
it is, that you spoke to, that sent you a text, that sent you an email, whatever it is, imagine that that person either had a positive charge or a negative charge. When you got to the end of the day, would you be positively charged or negatively charged? What I'm saying here is get rid of the toxic people, the negative charges in your life. Maybe you can't get rid of them. Limit time, okay? Alan and I have a mutual client who her family was just very, very negative, and they didn't support her. They didn't support who she was, what she wanted out of life. And I know Alan and I both had very similar conversations of, look, I know they're your family, and this is going to sound very taboo, and most people are not willing to say this to you, but just because they're family doesn't mean they're healthy. I think that's an important distinction. These people might be toxic. And she distanced herself from her family, and she feels way more aligned. Why? Because she can actually be herself. I think all of us have somebody in our lives who we know we should create some distance between ourselves and them, but we're afraid to because we don't want to look bad. We don't want to hurt their feelings. We're afraid what people will say, what people will think. We're afraid we'll lose them forever. But at the end of the day, your mental health, your emotional health, a lot of it has to do with the people that you're surrounding yourself with. If you have positive people like Alan in your life, you're probably going to be doing way better and you're going to feel way better. I got to fix it. If you have negative people who are draining you, when you get to the end of the day, you're not going to feel super good. You're not going to feel healthy. If you want to feel healthy, you have to have healthy influences in your life. This is a hard one, but I know Alan and I have had to do this. We've had to distance ourselves from people that we loved, not because we don't love them, but maybe they're not positive. They're not good for us. Maybe they're toxic. It's very important to do it. I know it's difficult, but it is one of the things that for me has had the highest ROI.
Same.
Yeah.
Every time you leave a room, you either leave feeling empowered or demoralized. Again, empowered or demoralized. That doesn't mean that every positive person isn't going to show you mirrors and sometimes show you difficult truths you don't want to look at. But I would like to believe that every one of my coaching clients, I just surpassed 800 coaching calls, and I would love to believe that every one of my coaching clients, after each of those calls, left feeling empowered. Even if it was tough truths, even if it was tough mirrors, even if it was like, hey, listen, we got to do a little better here if you want these results. The difference is I'm trying to empower people, and if you're around people who are not, who are the opposite, the people who knock you down a peg, you're going to have to really analyze that and understand that and distance yourself. And like Kevin said, go ahead.
I was going to say feeders and bleeders. You have people that either feed you the mission, the purpose, your heart, or they bleed you. They take away from the mission, the purpose, the heart. It's hard. Like when you become aware of that, it's very difficult to say like, okay, what do I do now? It's just about beginning the process, creating distance. You don't have to cut them out of your life, but I think you have to try to, look, if you're in Next Level Nation, if you're watching this in our Facebook group, you're already in a group of like-minded people. Connect with somebody in there, right? Have the courage to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I know that you read this book. I read that book too. I'd love to talk about it. I'd love to mastermind, right? If you want to find your people, you have to lean more into who you are as a person. And sometimes that means leaving some people to the side a little bit so you can create that void.
All right, again, how to take back control of your health. We're giving you some good stuff here. The last one, not the last one, second to last one that I have for you is training. I was talking to someone recently, and again, I'll keep this anonymous, and fitness is just such a huge part of my life. And so I often talk about it. And this person was talking to me and super excited about this new diet they were going to do. And I basically listened intently, and after she was done talking about it, I said, she basically admitted to me that she ordered some pills online that were going to help her lose weight. And after intently listening, I said, where did you hear about this? Because she was trying to tell me all the science about why these pills will work. And she was basically saying how she actually only has to work out about 10 minutes a day and not every day. And I don't agree with that personally. And basically what I said is, where did you hear this? She's like, oh, it was some guy on the internet. I was like, okay. So let me just tell you the truth here. Anyone who's trying to tell you that you can do less and achieve more is most likely trying to sell you something. I'm going to say that one more time because that's really profound. And that's true for this industry as well, by the way. Anyone who's telling you you can do less and achieve more is most likely trying to sell you something. Kevin and I very rarely tell you to do less. We say self-care more, R&R more, be more productive, try to plan your day more. Notice how we're always trying to help you become more, and we're never like, hey, success is pretty easy, don't worry so much. You'll never hear us say that.
We had a hard conversation right before this about the fact that I need to continue learning more, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I said this to a podcast. I was on a podcast consultation, and I said, I just want to clear the air here. I'm not the coach who's going to tell you to do less. Like, if you really want to succeed, you have to do more than other people are doing. It just is that way.
Right.
Unfortunately, I know there's a lot of people that are saying the other thing, but it doesn't work.
Can you work smarter? Of course. Of course. And you should. But that doesn't mean you can work and do less. I remember I have a friend, he said the 4-Hour Workweek was a very irresponsible book. And again, nothing against Tim Ferriss. I get what he was doing there. But I think the idea of wanting super successful results with like only 4 hours of work per week is a little jeffed. All right. But the point here is training. And in that story, this person told me about this pill. And I said, I care about you and I want to tell you this because I care. The real reason why you haven't been losing weight is because for the last several years, you've been trying to lose weight without consistently exercising. And even this diet pill was sold to you by someone who convinced you don't have to exercise much. I care so much that I'm willing to tell the truth. And I don't know, again, if people look around as much as I do, and I have nothing but compassion for this, but COVID has compounded the obesity crisis. It has made it way worse because we're all living more sedentary lifestyles. And trust me, I've spent many years of my life out of shape making poor health choices, so I'm guilty too. But it doesn't help anyone by not talking about the truth. I can't think of a single person out there who doesn't want to be in better shape. I can't think of a single person out there who doesn't want more financial abundance. I can't think of a single person out there who doesn't want to be more in love with their intimate partner or to find the partner of their dreams. We're all human beings. We all want health, wealth, and love. That's why Kevin and I created Next Level You for life, love, health, and wealth. Because this is what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be in shape. Everyone. Not everyone wants to exercise consistently. The people who exercise consistently are the ones in shape. Just remember that. Training is absolutely critical. Again, you can't out-train a bad diet, but training is a very, very important pillar if you do want to be in shape.
When we went to Colorado, every day we were there, we went to the gym.
Except for the last one.
Except for the last one, yeah. That was a tough one for us. We had the opportunity to basically go to dinner with everybody every night. And we said, honestly, for us, going to the gym is a little bit more aligned. It's very important to us that when we're on the road, we work out because that's part of our habits. That's part of one of the reasons we are here. And we eat a lot of In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, yeah.
So it's also important to...
Which is key. By the way, people see the way we eat sometimes, and they wonder how we do that.
Yeah.
First of all, this is a whole nother speech, but which we won't get into. But like Kevin and I are far on the compound effect. When you have more muscle mass, you can eat more calories and burn more calories. Plus, we actually have a pretty good idea of how many calories we're taking in and out. In and out. See
that
what
makes
I did
one
there?
of us.
See.
I go by what chocolate shake. Yeah, we'll take one of those.
Yeah, we'll take one of those.
But again, I think it's also important to put out there that like I don't know about you, for me, fitness wasn't a super focus at that time. It just wasn't. So I think that's important.
I appreciate that. I think for me, it's always a focus, but sometimes I zig and I zag. I zig and I zag. Like, Emilia and I meal prep, but we do, like, simple carbs before the gym. So 80-20. And
what are examples of simple carbs? Just
donuts, cookies. We do sugar cookies. Remember, your body breaks everything down to glucose and then uses ATP to expend energy. So if you're using simple... That's why Gatorade has so much sugar in it. Because for athletes, Gatorade's actually a good thing. But if you're sedentary and drinking Gatorade, that's not good. So there's a lot I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but one of the reasons why you can see Kevin and I eat the way we do and yet still be in shape is because we're doing it consciously, and we're also like to joke. Like, we don't only eat In-N-Out Burger.
No.
Yeah, we do often, but it's not it's only when we're on the road, which, by the way, is once in the last year and a half.
Hopefully it'll be once a month from here on out.
Yeah.
Hopefully. All right, last one. Alan spoke about nutrition. I want to talk about nutrition for your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled up some stats here. I'm not usually the stat guy, but I thought I'd get some stats here. I think it's pretty important. So in 2018, 27% of adults did not read a single book. So 27% of United States adults did not read a single book in 2018. One of the ways to take back control of your health is to use your brain. I heard somebody say once that I'm very educated. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean you went to a lot of school? Does that mean you learned a lot of things? What about a lifetime of education where you're a lifetime learner? You're just reading and you're listening to podcasts. Like, now is the easiest time ever to learn because there's so many opportunities to do it. Audible has every book. Podcasts are completely free. YouTube is completely free, right? There's so many places for you to learn. A lot of people aren't doing that. So if you really want to flex your mental muscle, I think learning is the most important thing. I know that one of the things that has made the biggest difference in my life, not just in the podcast realm or the coaching realm, but understanding like the importance of learning and how much more I know, which makes me feel better, which has changed the conversations I have, which has definitely changed my health in a way. Maybe not my physical health, but my mental health, my mental well-being, my emotional health, right? If you're struggling with, having a fixed mindset, read Mindset by Carol Dweck. That'll help your emotional health because you'll understand yourself at a deeper level. So it's not just the body. It's the body, the mind, the spirit, the soul, all of those things.
Very last pillar. Again, sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility. I'm focused more on the physical fitness. Kevin's more focused on the emotional, mental, and spiritual health, as you can tell. So, and I don't mean that in our actual lives. We're both doing physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, but in this actual live podcast here. All right, so mobility. I remember I was giving a speech to a group of high school athletes at Medway High School, and I had a slide that came up that I love, which is basically who in here loves Tom Brady. This was when he was in New England, and he had just won his 6th Super Bowl. And I said, who in here, we're in New England, who in here loves Tom Brady? Hands shot up. These are all athletes. I said, okay, next slide. Who in here has read Tom Brady's book, The TB12 Method, How to Sustain a Lifetime of Peak Performance? So many people out there wonder how Tom Brady can be 40 plus years old and still doing so well in the NFL. 7 Super Bowls. If you read his book, you'll understand why. Sleeps 9 hours a night. Does mobility regularly. Focuses more on his mobility and pliability than he does his actual training. And he does super functional training as well. And his nutrition is so on point. To be honest, sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility, he actually might be the most consistent out of anyone I've ever personally studied. I'm sure there's some other people out there too. But he says my body is my asset. I can't expect to eat like crap and sleep like crap and then perform on the field with the best athletes in the world. So maybe you don't want to be the best athlete in the world like Tom Brady. Maybe you don't want to be the world's best quarterback. But whatever it is that you want to do, your health is critical. And so, again, going back to that speech, everyone's hand was up when I said, who in here loves Tom Brady? But everyone's hand shot down when I said, who has read Tom Brady's book? Every hand was down. Now, again, these are high school kids, so I get it, right? But aren't you curious? I remember asking them, like, aren't you curious? The 7 Super Bowls are awesome, but aren't you curious about how he did it? Obviously, there's some gold in there. I remember I was talking to, I've never told this story before, but I'm excited about it. So I did some fitness coaching with Tony Robbins' son, Jarek. We had Jarek on the podcast several times. Awesome dude. And I jumped on the phone with him. We did some fitness coaching. I was taking him through these pillars: sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility. And we got to the mobility piece, and he was really excited about this new investment that he was doing. I don't know the name of it, but he bought a couple mobility places down there. I think it's
stretch you out. They stretch you out down there.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know the name of it?
I don't know the name. It's like, I don't know. It's literally like a mobility place where you go and they like stretch you out on this table. Yeah.
Yeah. And he bought a couple of them, and I was like, okay, cool. That's the level you play at. Awesome. And I was talking about Tom Brady's book. I said, have you read Tom Brady's new book? And there's so much good mobility stuff in there. And he's like, yeah, Alan, actually he and Giselle were over the house last weekend. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, Dad endorsed his book. I was like, oh yeah, Dad. Dad endorsed his book. And by the way, I knew that. So it was kind of one of those foot in mouth moments. But anyways, it was just a funny story. But mobility is absolutely critical. And for me personally, I've been injured several times. I used to play pickup basketball a lot. And I did heavy squats for a while, at least what I consider heavy. And I've pulled my groin several times. My right shoulder is hurting. So as you get older, you will wish you did more mobility. I promise you that. And I've actually been really consistent over the last couple weeks. I've been doing a half an hour of mobility every single day. I think I've missed twice. So mobility is critical. Sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility. Again, that's the fitness side of things.
It's difficult, right? Like at the end of the day, if you want to make a change and you want to take back control of your health, you have to do it with consistency. All of these are doable, but it's hard to go to bed early. Like, I like staying up sometimes. It's hard to get 8 hours of sleep. I didn't get 8 hours of sleep last night because the kittens have ringworm and I ended up on the couch. Like, whatever. I didn't get 8 hours of sleep. I didn't go to the gym today, right? I'm going to go tomorrow. Did that surprise you?
A little bit.
Yeah, no, I didn't have time. It was either that or be on time today.
I'm going tonight.
Well, I'm jealous. But it's difficult. A lot of these things are difficult. But if you make a commitment, you can take back control of your health. But it has to be a commitment. And sometimes having somebody else be committed with you helps. So find an accountability partner, somebody in the group, somebody you know, whatever it is. Read the same book with your partner. Like, okay, we're going to read 5 pages every night and we're going to talk about it. Go to the gym with your partner. Right? Tara and I go to the gym. I know Emilia and Alan go to the gym together. So whatever it is, find somebody who can help you do this because it is difficult, but you will thank yourself for doing it.
It always helps to have an accountability partner. Tonight, Emilia and I are going to the gym, and we decided that this morning when I left because we didn't get to go this morning because Tucker, he had diarrhea and he puked, and it's a whole thing. But basically, we're going to go tonight. Would we still go because it's going to be a late night for Kevin and I. Would we still go if it wasn't for us counting on each other? Just remember that accountability is everything. Okay, we got to move to Q&A.
Yeah.
And
Amy!
Amy, what's happening?